Your host for Motorweek, John Davis.
Well, hello and welcome again to Motorweek. We're glad to have you with us. For human beings, turning 50 means middle age, a little over halfway through life's journey. But few car models ever make it to 50, and if they do, rarely retain the spirit and excitement of their earlier years. Well, one rare exception to that rule is the Chevrolet Corvette. It's 50 years young and in the prime of its life. Maybe middle age isn't so bad after all. Of course, few of us have had such an exciting journey through life as the Chevrolet Corvette. Born in the early 50s as a super stylish young roadster, the Vette was a feisty pre-adolescent during the 60s, a tortured teenager during the 70s gas crunch, and finally emerged into the 80s all grown up as America's Big Daddy sports car. The 90s saw the Corvette gain the refinement of middle age without losing the tire-shredding fire of its youth. And now in the first years of the 21st century, Chevrolet celebrates the Corvette's 5 decades with a special edition 50th anniversary model, which is available in both hatchback coupe and convertible. No, it's not the much anticipated C6, that comes next year, but rather the current C5 platform, now with standard fog lamps, dressed up with special anniversary red paint, 50th anniversary badges, and champagne-painted 5-spoke alloy wheels, 17s in the front and 18s in the back. Inside, the 50th anniversary plastic fantastic features a unique shale interior color and a host of new standard features shared with all 2003 Corvettes. These include new sports seats that in the anniversary car wear embroidered 50th anniversary badges and dual-zone climate controls. Underneath the paint and badges, the anniversary rides on GM's new and innovative magnetic selective ride control. Replacing the driver adjustable selective real-time damping, MSRC is now available on all Vettes for 2003 as well as the Cadillac Seville. Standard on the anniversary Vette, MSRC shocks contain a special magneto-rheological fluid that changes consistency and therefore the shock damping according to the output of a special electromagnetic coil inside the shock. Sensors on each wheel feed road information to a computer that constantly adjusts the damping to optimize both ride and handling.
This is a suspension technology with great capability. And what it enables us to do as a company is to very skillfully tailor the ride personality of a vehicle just for a targeted kind of a customer group. So the technology can be applied to a luxury sedan or to a sports car.
That said, our staff was divided on the benefits of magnetic selective ride control, some feeling it delivered the promised ride quality, while others felt that transitions between soft and hard were too sudden, giving the car a jerky feel over bumps. On smoother pavement, however, the 50th anniversary model still delivered all the handling and grip that Corvettes are world famous for. MSRC virtually eliminates body roll and front plow, though you can still break the rear end loose in a smooth, controllable slide if you wish. Thank goodness. That's because the 50th anniversary Vette still packs 5.7 liters of pure pushrod V8, which pumps out 350 horsepower and 360 pound-feet of torque to the rear wheels. The power flow is controlled by either a 6-speed manual gearbox or our test car's 4-speed automatic, which when engaged punched the big Vette to 60 in only 4.9 seconds. The quarter mile flashed by in an equally exhilarating 13.4 seconds at 106 miles per hour. As before with the latest generation 5.7 small block, the power band is wide and flat with maximum torque available at only 4,000 RPM. Throttle response is instantaneous, so much so that it actually breaks the rear tires loose with each upshift. Raw American power. But power is nothing without control, and the Corvette's big 4-wheel disc brakes with standard ABS allow it to stop from 60 in a precise 120 feet. It does dart about a bit when stopping on a loose surface, but never enough to unsettle the chassis, and pedal feedback is excellent. Fuel consumption is surprisingly good as well. EPA estimates for our automatic Corvette are 18 city and 25 highway. We got a very fine 23 miles per gallon and 500 miles of normal driving. Price numbers, however, jump a bit, with the anniversary package adding $5,000 to the Vette sticker. This gives a 50th anniversary hatchback coupe a base price of $48,995. The 50th anniversary convertible, like our test car, starts at $55,745. Still, that's nearly 25 grand less than a Dodge Viper RT10 and less expensive than most high-end European sports cars with a lot less power, handling, and heritage. The Chevrolet Corvette may be 5 decades old, but it sure doesn't feel middle-aged. It's still fast, ferocious fun. 50 years young and in the prime of its performance life. A legend is commonly defined as an unverified story handed down from earlier times. What this means is that we really don't know if much or any of it ever really happened. But as Craig Singha shows us, the legend of the Chevrolet Corvette has its roots in some very real and very intriguing automotive history.
It was 50 years ago, and post-war America was going flat out car crazy. The war shortages were over, and returning GIs had seen the agile and responsive sports cars of Europe in the streets and on the track. And so the world's largest automaker, General Motors, debuted their response to the sports car boom at the 1953 Motorama Car Show. It was a new sports car from Chevrolet, and since then, fiberglass has never been quite the same. And here's the car that started the Corvette legend. This is a 1953 Corvette. And not just any 53 Corvette. This may well be the lowest mileage, most original 53 Corvette in the world. The car is owned by Chip Miller, one of the founders of the famed Carlisle Automotive Flea Markets.
Craig, this 1953 Corvette I located in 1972. It had 8,788 miles on it. Today, we're looking at a car, this is 50 years after it was new, with 9,201 original miles.
Oh, man.
My estimation, it's the most original survivor of all 300 of the 53 Corvettes. It's got the original top, got the original interior. It's totally original. Every nut, bolt, 90% of the paint is still the original paint. The tires are the original Firestones. I believe they still have the Flint Air left in them, put in the factory.
There you go, that's great.
The world first saw a 1953 Corvette as the EX-122 show car. That was the Motorama car in January of 1953. The public loved it, the press loved it. Went into production, they were all hand-built, what we call hand-laid fiberglass. They were very well done, but very labor-intensive. Actually, the first one rolled off the assembly line June 30th of 1953.
And while extremely collectible today, even by 1953 standards, these were not considered stellar performers.
Everything was special up top. When you take the body off and you look underneath, you've got really literally a 1950s Chevrolet frame. You've got a power glide transmission. You've got a 6-cylinder Chevrolet motor. Well, Craig, here's the heart of the car. It's a Blue Flame 6-cylinder motor, which I guess for sports cars of its era was a big motor in a big car. 6-cylinder, of course, today we laugh at them with the powerful V8s. This had 150 horsepower, breathed through 3 Carter side draft single barrel carburetors. Exhaust goes out a split manifold, out double exhaust out the back. Driving this car is altogether different, obviously, than driving a current Corvette. It is just an archaic whale, if you will. But if you take it back into 1953 and compare it to the other vehicles of that time, it really was sporty. It had a good sound. It actually sounds very much like a boat, a sports boat of the time, if you will, a Chris Craft or whatever. It had a little more guts, but it still had the 2-speed automatic transmission. But the real thing, the thing about this car, it's such an eye catcher. It's such a deviation from anything back in that era. It was so far ahead of its time. To this day, it's a beautiful car. The design work in the car is absolutely incredible. And that's why it was such a success at the time, still is very sought after today.